Today, we will explore one of the most mysterious figures in the Bible, Melchizedek. Briefly appearing yet deeply influential, he was mentioned thousands of years before Christ's birth and has continued to spark discussions for centuries. Who exactly is Melchizedek? Could he transcend time, or is he merely a symbolic figure? Let us delve into what the Bible reveals to uncover more about this enigma. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss our next exciting discoveries. Melchizedek, whose name means King of Righteousness, is a unique figure in the Bible, surpassing traditional religious and political leadership norms. He defied conventional standards, becoming a distinctive symbol offering profound insights into faith. As we examine Melchizedek's story, we find that each of his appearances in the Bible is like a precious gem, providing new revelations about this enigmatic character. Melchizedek first appeared in ancient times, around 2,000 years before Jesus' birth, during a meeting with Abraham after a series of conflicts and victories. At that time, Abraham, the patriarch of the Jewish people, returned from a challenging campaign where he and his loyal warriors pursued bold enemies to Dan to recover their plunder. In the oak forest of Mamre, a survivor from the battle arrived to deliver an urgent message. Amidst the serene natural surroundings, the messenger hurriedly reported that Lot, Abraham's nephew, had been captured in the conflict, along with his family and possessions, filling Abraham's gaze with worry and determination. The news ignited a fierce anger within Abraham, like a smoldering flame ready to burst into action, driving him to act immediately. He promptly gathered his forces, leading his loyal men on a perilous journey beyond familiar safety, confronting fears head-on. With 318 trained warriors from his own household, Abraham led the group northward on an urgent mission, filled with hope, determined to rescue his nephew Lot before it was too late. Under the starry night sky, Abraham and his soldiers approached Ra, north of Damascus, launching a bold and surprise attack on the enemy's ground. The clash of swords broke the night's stillness, with cries of battle echoing across the hills as Abraham and his men fought with courage and resolve. Victory was achieved in the darkness of night, the sounds of battle silenced by Abraham's determination and the skill of his warriors. The enemy was defeated, the captives were freed, and amid the ruins of the battle, a unique and transcendent encounter awaited Abraham. Abraham stood before a mysterious figure, a man radiating strength and indescribable peace, as though surrounded by a divine aura. That was Melchizedek, the king of Salem, who suddenly emerged from the shadows of the night, his eyes shining with a supernatural light. Melchizedek appears abruptly in the Bible, without a genealogy or clear origins, described only as the king of Salem and a priest of the Most High God. The biblical texts reveal no information about his ancestry or the path that led him to this position, making his appearance a profound mystery and his identity an unresolved enigma. The core of the story centers on the encounter between Melchizedek and Abraham after the battle, where Abraham rescued his nephew Lot. Melchizedek approached Abraham with steady steps, and his powerful presence overshadowed the calm after the battle. In his hands were bread and wine, symbols of sustenance and covenant, carrying actions of deep meaning that transcended words, reaching into the depths of the human heart. Abraham, filled with reverence at this extraordinary encounter, knelt before Melchizedek, expressing respect and acknowledging the greatness of this king and priest. With a gesture of respect and devotion, Abraham received the bread and wine from Melchizedek's hands, symbols of blessing and divine covenant. Then Melchizedek raised his hands to the heavens, blessing Abraham with powerful and profound words that transcended space and time, imbued with divine authority and significance. He recognized the blessings bestowed upon Abraham by God, chosen as the beloved of the Most High, a man carrying a mission that surpassed human understanding. Blessed be Abram by God Most High, creator of heaven and earth, and praise be to God Most High, who delivered your enemies into your hand. Genesis 14:19-20. Witnessing this sacred covenant and divine blessing, Abraham deeply felt a call to gratitude and reverence. In a gesture of respect and submission, Abraham gave Melchizedek a tenth of all the possessions he had gained in battle, recognizing the spiritual authority and blessings that Melchizedek brought. This act of offering was not merely material generosity, but also an acknowledgement of the divine authority and blessings that Melchizedek represented. It symbolized submission and dedication, reflecting Abraham's profound faith and trust in the divine plan unfolding before him. The theological significance of Melchizedek in this context seems to transcend established norms in biblical tradition. He is depicted as a unique figure, simultaneously holding the roles of king and priest, contrary to the clear division between religion and politics in contemporary cultures. In later Hebrew tradition, God prohibited the kings of Israel from taking on the role of priest and vice versa. However, Melchizedek served as the priest of the Most High God without any direct connection to the Israelites or the covenant established with Abraham later. This contrast highlights his uniqueness and the theological significance he carries. Melchizedek's presence before Abraham's covenant implies that he was not bound by the laws and traditions of the Hebrew people, but was instead a representative of the Most High God to all humanity. This makes him a universal and timeless figure, a priest whose role transcends racial and cultural boundaries. Melchizedek is described as blessing Abraham, acknowledging him as an instrument of God and bestowing upon him an important blessing after his victory in battle. This encounter between Melchizedek and Abraham underscores the spiritual authority and the priestly role as a mediator between humanity and God, even before the formal establishment of the Levitical priesthood. The second mention of Melchizedek, appearing approximately a millennium later, adds to the mystery surrounding him, reinforcing his image as a timeless and divine symbol beyond full human comprehension. Psalm 110, one of the most frequently quoted and interpreted psalms in the Old Testament, provides a powerful and poetic vision of Christ's kingship and priesthood. In it, David describes a scene where the Lord, God, invites another figure, also called Lord, to sit at his right hand, a position symbolic of supreme authority. This emphasizes the exaltation and authority of the Messiah, transcending all earthly realities. Although the psalm does not directly mention Melchizedek, many theologians believe this passage contains imagery of Melchizedek's priestly role. As both a king and a priest, Melchizedek became a pioneering figure for the Messiah, representing an eternal office and authority that surpasses the bounds of time. Just as Melchizedek blessed Abraham and received a tithe from him, Christ is glorified at the right hand of the Father as the supreme high priest and eternal king, interceding for believers and ruling over all creation. The connection between Melchizedek and the image of Christ seated at the right hand of God in Psalm 110 highlights Melchizedek's theological significance as a prototype for Christ, whose presence prefigured Jesus' mission of redemption and exaltation. Melchizedek's dual role as king and priest foreshadows Christ, who holds both eternal kingship and priesthood, fulfilling the work of salvation for humanity. The link and parallels between Melchizedek and Jesus as the eternal high priest is a fascinating and vital point in biblical theology, leading many scholars to view Melchizedek as a prophetic model of Jesus. This approach not only underscores Melchizedek's uniqueness, a mysterious figure in the Old Testament, but also sheds light on his prophetic nature, deepening the understanding of Christ's redemptive role. Some scholars have proposed that Melchizedek might be connected to other biblical figures like Noah, Seth, or even angels, due to the lack of genealogical information about him. The mysterious appearance of Melchizedek, without a clear beginning or end in Scripture, symbolizes eternity and uniqueness, reflecting the image of Christ, who has no beginning and exists forever. The third mention of Melchizedek occurs in the latter half of the 1st century AD, when the author of the Epistle to the Hebrews delves into the theological significance of Melchizedek to clarify Christ's eternal priesthood. In this letter, Melchizedek is described as a unique figure, without genealogy, without beginning or end, symbolizing eternity, a prophetic image of Jesus Christ. From chapters 5 to 7, the book of Hebrews outlines the theological significance of Melchizedek as a precursor to the appearance and redemptive mission of Christ. The author of Hebrews compares the Levitical priesthood, rooted in the lineage of the tribe of Levi, to the priesthood of Melchizedek, a priesthood that existed before the Levitical system was established. The Levitical priesthood, associated with the lineage of Aaron, brother of Moses, was central to Jewish worship rituals, focusing on sacrifices and mediating between God and the people of Israel. According to Jewish tradition, this system was established by God during the Exodus period, as recorded in the books of Exodus, Leviticus, and Numbers, with its core role at the tabernacle and later the temple in Jerusalem. This comparison in Hebrews emphasizes the superiority and eternal nature of Jesus' priesthood, described as, according to the order of Melchizedek. The author argues that Melchizedek's priesthood surpasses the Levitical priesthood in several aspects. First, Melchizedek blessing Abraham, the patriarch of the Jewish people, demonstrates his spiritual authority and unique role, surpassing Levi, the ancestor of the priestly lineage. Additionally, Abraham giving a tithe to Melchizedek signifies the greatness of Melchizedek's priesthood over that of Israel's lineage. From this, the author concludes that Jesus, in his role as a priest in the order of Melchizedek, transcends all limitations of the Levitical priesthood. Another important emphasis in Hebrews is the continuous and eternal nature of Melchizedek's priesthood, in contrast to the temporary nature of the Levitical priesthood, which was bound by death and hereditary succession. The author highlights that Jesus, as a priest in the order of Melchizedek, surpasses the Levitical priests because he is eternal and indestructible, not bound by death. This means he does not need to inherit the priestly office from another generation, as was the case in the Levitical system. This theological analysis highlights the significance of Melchizedek's priesthood as a model for the eternal priesthood of Jesus. By connecting Jesus to Melchizedek's priesthood, the author underscores the superiority and perfection of Jesus' priestly ministry over the Levitical priesthood, affirming the eternal and comprehensive nature of Christ's redemptive work. Melchizedek's priesthood, as presented in the book of Hebrews, serves as a foundational framework for understanding Jesus' redemptive and intercessory work, offering eternal salvation and direct access to God for all believers. The theological importance of Melchizedek in this context challenges the established norms of biblical tradition. He is depicted as a unique figure who combines the roles of king and priest, a combination typically separated in the religious and political practices of his time. The narrative of Melchizedek's priesthood and the new covenant established by Jesus provides profound theological and practical insights into the relationship between God and humanity. Melchizedek's priesthood transcends the temporary and ritualistic limitations of the Levitical system. While the Levitical priests represented a restricted religious system bound by Mosaic law, Melchizedek's priesthood operates beyond these constraints, emphasizing its eternal and universal nature, open to all humanity. When Jesus performs his priestly role in the order of Melchizedek, he establishes a new covenant that is unrestricted by lineage or temporary rituals. This eternal covenant offers a direct relationship with God to all people, regardless of race, culture, or time. We are called to understand that God's plan of redemption is not limited to one nation or one era, but is a global, eternal invitation, unbound by the temporary frameworks of this world. We are called to understand that God's plan of redemption is not limited to one nation or one era, but is a global, eternal invitation unbound by the temporary frameworks of this world. This relationship is not confined by time or space, but is open to all humanity, affirming God's inclusivity and unconditional love. Melchizedek's priesthood is not only a profound theological model, but also a practical call to every believer. Similarly, Jesus, as the eternal priest in the order of Melchizedek, not only blesses us but also calls us to offer our lives as a living sacrifice, an act of absolute submission and boundless gratitude for his redemptive work. This is not merely a call to material offerings, like the tithe Abraham gave to Melchizedek, but an invitation to dedicate ourselves, our hearts, minds, time, and abilities to serve God and the community. To accomplish this, we are called to live not only by religious principles, but also in a vibrant and meaningful relationship with God, acknowledging his supremacy in every area of our lives. Jesus' priesthood brings not only redemption, but also an invitation into a new and purposeful life, where we are called to live in his image, bless and serve others, and dedicate every aspect of our lives to God, just as he did for us. The story of Melchizedek is indeed a profound source of inspiration, sparking reflection on the role of the priest, the mediator between God and humanity, and the act of surrendering and dedicating one's life to God. If this video resonates with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so we can continue sharing profound messages from the Bible with you. Leave a comment and share your thoughts. We'd love to hear your stories, experiences, and the goals you're pursuing in the light of God. Praise be to God for always being with us on this journey, bringing encouragement and peace each day.